necessarily tribal or regional.
All right, thank you for staying with us. This is Daybreak on Trust Television. Time to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak. We have our guest reviewer, Ben Shema, the Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, with us in the studio. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, so beginning with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the lead story talks about IPOP attacks. It says, Igbo avoid Christmas trips to Southeast. It has the riders that says lull at motor parks, airports, as many remain in North Abuja, Lagos. Economic slowdown worsens apathy. You also have we will dare the odds. Stay where you are. Relatives tell Kingsmen. You also have beside the pictorial there where the President Muhammadu Buhari and Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, were seen during the commissioning of NAT Shared Services Center in Abuja. Now, beside that pictorial, there are stories there lined up. Zamfara airstrikes. Bandits seize residents as human shields. You'd find that on page 5. Jos Man jailed 2 years for destroying PDP's billboard on page 21. You also will find Hisbah storms same-sex marriage venue in Kano, arrest 19. That's on page 20. After conviction, Okupe steps down as Obi's campaign DG. You also would find race to Nas, Gombe North, Namkwambo, Alkali back for another boat, and that's on page 34. These are the major stories on the, well, not forgetting the stories above the lead story. You have also the FG to ban cash withdrawal from public accounts. Atiku vows to reopen borders, donates 50 million naira to victims of banditry in Katsina, and also we need 100,000 vehicles, 4,200 boats for 2023 polls, INEC chair says. So those are the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, next we'll take a look at The Nation newspaper, and it carries this major headline on the front page. Tinubu unveils funding plan for infrastructure revolution. Now that is the major story, and it comes with riders here. It says, it's possible to build in difficult times, and North Christian Forum endorses Tinubu Shetima. Cross River APC crisis resolved. And another headline on the front page, Governor's OK plan to sell off 5 power plants. And federal government eyes 260 billion naira from sale of Giregu, Ajaukuta, others. CBN releases security features of a new Naira notes is another story on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And right there at the bottom of the front page there, Senate confirms Onochie Ogumola, 11 others for NDDC board. Moving towards the top of the front page there, above the masthead, Okugwe quits as Obi's campaign DG. LP candidate lists priorities. And Shema Camp, PDP leaders, shun Atiku's Katsina rally. Details of that can be found on page 8. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, so let's take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. The lead story there says, cash limits. Reps order CBN to stay action. Banks adamant. That's on page 2. You'd also find the riders there. Lawmakers insist Emefiele must appear Thursday or send a deputy. House defense order to suspend policy, cites CBN Act and Constitution. Banks ready for implementation, no counter directive, spokespersons. You would also find above the masthead there, governors, FG agree on NIPS sale to fund budgets. And also Buhari transmits finance bill, NAS passes budget Thursday. You'd find below the pictorial, Germany begins return of 1,130 looted Benin bronzes. And also below there, INEC needs 100,000 vehicles, 4,200 boats, says Yakubu. Truck driver kills tricycle rider, hoodlums loot rise. Also, NFIU stops cash withdrawal from federal government states account. These are the lead story, major stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Next, we'll take a look at the Guardian newspaper, and it comes with this major story on the front page. New Naira notes yet to circulate amid fear of counterfeiting. And it has riders here. It says redesign, withdrawal limit will wreck North, says Wamako claims. Ibadan motorcyclists reject new notes. And Bank of England unveils King Charles III banknotes. Won't phase out old notes, but reprinting will be discontinued. And moving on towards the bottom of the front page there, Okupe steps down as campaign DG. Not demoralized, Peter Obi confirms. Details of that can be found on page 6. Ekweremadu to spend Christmas behind bars, and that is on page 2. Brace for flight delays, cancellations, airlines warn travelers, and details of that can be found on the business page of The Guardian. Towards the top of the front page there, below the masthead, FG to stop excess cash withdrawal from public accounts, says NFIU. That story is on page 3. Ondo Council workers threaten to boycott 2023 elections over autonomy, and details of that can be found on page 6. ACF mourns elder statesman Malami, that is on page 29, and halt official sabotage of 2023 general elections, says Falano. That is on the political page, which is on page 25. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of The Guardian this morning.
All right, now talking about Al Jazeera, Nigeria, they have some of the stories there. The lead story talks about NDDC board controversy over Onoche's appointment. It has the right, as it says, court case subsists. NDDC Act must be respected, Senator Dixon says. Group vows to occupy region if Onoche is replaced. Then you have also some senators kick over appointment as lawmakers divided. You have other stories there below the masthead. FG earns $547 million from 5G spectrum auction, says Buhari. JAM fixes January 14 for commencement of 2023 UTME registration. U.S. plans $170 million African exports investment. Also, petrol, diesel, cooking gas prices jump. Christmas flights cancellation as airlines groan over aviation fuel scarcity. You also have 2023 police move against vote buyers. These are the major stories on the Al Jazeera, Nigeria this morning.
Now we'll take a look at the Leadership newspaper, and it carries this major story on the front page. NIPC snores as Nigeria loses more investment opportunities. And it comes with riders here that says Umar's actions ground commission to a halt. An executive secretary keeps mum over mounting allegations. Now details of that can be found on page 4. There's a tribute to Shehu Malami, and it says Shehu Malami, a litany of tributes, juicy tales from Sarkin Sudan. And that is, we can find that on the Leadership newspaper. Newsbelt here has these headlines: Leadership Gulf Digest debuts and flight delays, cancellation loom over Jet A1 scarcity, and that is attributed to airlines. After conviction, Okupe quits as Obi Detti campaign DG. Towards the top of the front page there, you'll find withdrawal limits. Lawmakers refuse to shift ground. Bajak Biamila meets PMB. And 2023, FG counters no achievement claim by opposition. Details of that can be found on page 7. At the very top of the front page there, above the masthead, I'll reopen all borders to boost economy, says Atiku. And Tinubu intervenes in Cross River APC crisis. Details of that can be found on page 28. Now, these are the stories that are found on the front page of the Leadership newspaper.
All right, so let's get perspectives on some of these stories. We have Ben Sherman in the studio. Thank you again for joining us on Daybreak. Quite a number of stories. Let's begin with the issue of the CBN's policy on cash withdrawal. A lot of reactions coming from there. The Guardian newspaper leads with the story. It's put it this way. It says, new Naira notes yet to circulate amid fear of counterfeiting. You have the writer saying that the redesigned withdrawal limit will wreck North. Wamako claims Ibadan motorcyclists reject new notes. Bank of England unveils King Charles III banknotes. That's on the foreign side of it. But talking about us, locally here, are you surprised at the kind of reactions that you have seen trail this CBN's policy?
Thank God in Nigeria there is freedom of expression in excess, But when you say it's going to affect the north only, what about southeast? What about southwest? I can see some people are saying, well, the government is not printing, or CPN or Mint is not printing because of fear of bringing counterfeit notes. I mean, which one is being rejected then in the southwest? So a whole gamut of confusion here and there. But be as it may, I think that I still stand by the CBN and on their stand. Printing of these notes, limit as to how much one can withdraw. And of course, the politicians who are worried, and even the speaker, Bajabia Miller, going to see the president. Yes, he has the right to see him if he wants. And even the House of Reps are saying that they've passed a motion. Motions are not laws. And so they can as well express their opinions just like we, the ordinary ones, are expressing. But we are also saying that people should go on should win elections on the on platform of integrity. Not how much you are doling out, how much you are dashing people.
Are we really sure that these cash withdrawal limits will actually curb the issue of vote buying? Because there are some speculations right now about certain parties being favored with the cash, making it available for them through the back channels.
But I tell you that even in APC, there are admirers of PDP. In PDP, there are admirers of APC. In Labour Party, there are admirers of this or that party. In the same vein, a situation where it is alleged that a certain party is more favored, some people somewhere will actually expose this thing because they may not like that favoritism being given to some other people. The freedom in Nigeria is enormous. Therefore, I think that when people have these fears that the campaigns may not go well in terms of money to be spent, what I fear more is when they say SSS is trying to arrest. Going to court to seek for permission, or the court should grant them the right to arrest Emefiele. At this critical moment, when INEC materials are with CBN, at this critical moment, when people are still talking about this monetary redesign policy and all that, that's when I think it's like trying to throw spanners into a system that is already taking a shape within this how many days to election.
Does it really have anything to do with the new policy of the central bank? The issue of the
I doubt the talk at the point people say the terrorism sponsorship and some other kind of things like that, where the SSS they know better. But I think that within this period of time, if you therefore tamper with the CBN as it is, I think it will not say so much well in terms of election planning. Even the government, people will start suspecting the government and all that. And you look at the pressure being brought onto the CBN, which is also being brought onto the government. They now say, look, there is what you call behind the scene activities that we don't see. As it's always said, we don't know who is kicking who under the table. You just see faces. So I think they should allow Nigerians to have it so free. It's going to be good for everybody.
All right, talking about not knowing what lies beneath the surface, the House of Representatives has been adamant about the fact that the CBN governor must appear, he must explain this, he must explain that. I think a lot of people actually believe that a lot of information has actually been given out concerning this withdrawal limit and the cash redesign policy and the rest of it. From your own perspective, what is the House of Representatives hoping to gain from that encounter with the CBN governor that is not already in the public sphere?
Yeah, you see, the same House of Reps that said CBN must, governor must appear before them. The first instance, he has refused. Now they're saying tomorrow, Thursday, he has to be there. And they've given him a way out, or that he sends a deputy. I mean, okay, I can simply wake up and send my deputy, who has just been appointed, who just go there and play along. I'm not the main man and all that stuff. But talking seriously, when they say it's going to affect the rural man, they don't have banks, they don't. All this while the rural man has never had banks. How are they transacting business? So it's still going to be the same way. And Ibrahim, just a moment. When you are filling code of conduct form, which I usually feel, at the point they ask you instantly, cash at hand, how much do you have there? I mean, if I have 1,000 in my pocket, it says a lot about my spending pattern. But the man, so how much do you have in the bank? How much do you have in office? These are, I mean, it says a lot.
So perhaps the concern for rural dwellers is the limits, is the withdrawal cash limits, right?
How much does he withdraw? The rural man, how much does he withdraw? I mean,
there are some of them who do businesses in hundreds of thousands, in millions.
Sure, yes. But I want to tell you, those who do in hundreds of thousands or a million, as we are talking about, they are already passing what you call the real hawkers, the real guy who is running a salon, the real guy who has an eatery somewhere, you know. So this, when you look at some people, the whole material, their commodity, their trade, the substance they're holding, you can assess it to be around 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. Some who move around with granules, they need to sell. They are traders too. They form part of the informal sector of the economy. So we cannot be pretending that we love those people so much that I want them to rather look at it. What about big institutions that employ hundreds of thousands? How do you take care of them so that the economy does not crash? So when you're talking about, I mean, it's like a man who indeed returns from loafing around, you enter the house, you perceive a smell of something being cooked. You begin to shout that the children will not like it. The children have been at home since this thing started, the cooking started. They never complain. You now come because you don't like it. So the National Assembly, in particular the House of Reps, I don't know what, I mean, well, inform them to keep on saying masses will suffer, masses will suffer. Right. I don't know how the masses have been enjoying all this while.
Now, added to this is the issue of the federal government banning cash withdrawal from public accounts. And so that's from the NFRU. And what's your take on this? It seems like we've had the ideas to do all of these things, and which seem to be ideas that could help to deal with the issue of corruption, isn't it?
Yeah, you see, on appointment, that is what we call having the capacity, the courage, the ability, the even courage to do it. Do it according to the schedule of your job. Can you do it? First, Mr. President, you are wrong here. Can you go cut electricity in the villa because they have not paid? If you do that, good thing. So when we're talking of cash withdrawal, government, a new government policy, yes, the Financial Intelligence Unit is looking at Estacot in particular. When people are going abroad, the money being pumped goes far beyond the required and what somebody ought to have had by law. You see that it's more. And that's why they're saying, okay, instead of just doing those withdrawal, cash, hard currency, let there be what they call domiciliary accounts. government now knows exactly, just like your salary, and they pay into that account. And that's why they want to say, okay, withdrawal from
So
public.
this is in line with the CBN policy.
Exactly. It's still an attempt to checkmate cash flows, inflow, outflow, so that you know. FIAU has always been working with the EFCC. In fact, it was a department under EFCC. Now they are independent. It's an international requirement. Just like we have this international group, they call them the Egmont Group. They ensure that they check money, terrorism spending, or when money laundering is being done here and there. So sometimes some people ferry money out using all this method. Now they want whatever belongs to Ayuba or Ibrahim or Ben Shaman, this is how it should be, and it should undergo due process. The auditors, the editors, everybody should always know this, so that the auditors, they should always know exactly what has been appropriated for what purpose, who has approved, and all that. And instead of just having a blank check and people just withdraw money, and the accounts of the federation is being depleted just because of a few people. So these people, they've written the SGF. They've written the federal government, so to speak. They've written governors. They've written local government chairmen. Look, your personnel, who indeed are always beneficiaries of Estacot, they need to have a domiciliary account so that government will know, or Nigerians will know, so that they're also kept in check. Because that's what is supposed to be KYC, know your customer by every bank, so that government too should know where money is being spent and for what purpose and to who.
All right, well, moving slightly away from that, but still talking about money being spent where it's supposed to go. The Nigeria power sector has been in sort of a roller coaster for the past couple of years. It was unbundled, it was sold, discos came on board, something happened that was revoked. Now they're in other people's hands. Now we're hearing that they're going to be sold again, and that I think the Punch newspaper carried a story about governors and the federal government agreeing to sell NIPP projects to be able to fund the budget to make more money. What do you make of that?
Well, NIPP, by my understanding, that's the Independent Power Project. If it is independent, so why are you selling an independent thing? Now, when it was unbundled, you also realize that the government is saying we're washing off this business, let the private sector take over. But government can always regulate. Fine. Now, the accusation then was, under PDP, many of the beneficiaries were members of PDP via insider trading. Now we have APC on ground. Are you now towing again the line of PDP that time? Was it a good policy that PDP did that you now want to also copy-paste in your own case? So I think that Nigeria has suffered for so long and too much under electricity. It's always like fetching water in a basket in Nigeria, or you fetch from a well and put it in a basket.
So you believe we're still going to be doing the same thing over again?
Honestly, except otherwise, you have men and women of integrity, of goodwill, who indeed will stand their grounds. We've had reasons to believe what some people say. State governments and people will say, we are generating this electricity. But it wastes away because people who are supposed to buy this light that we've generated send it via transmission to consumers. They say it costs them more to buy. And what do? They charge every consumer higher. And there is a law that even allows some regulatory agencies, when you reach some months, you are capable of reviewing. They are not talking of reviewing anything downwards. It's always upwards. When indeed the buying capacity, the money people, spending power of Nigerians is just very, very low. So I think that we need to look at it seriously. Look at the Mambila project. How long has that been? Close to 40 years. 40 years.
Okay.
I mean, when we have projects, we must have a time span. How long is this supposed to be? When is it going to be commissioned? We should also be having some stop gaps.
All right.
Let's be checking to see if we are going to commission this as at schedule.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at the lead story on the Daily Trust. It talks about Igbo avoid Christmas trips to Southeast. That's a story talking about the Yuletide season. A lot of people will be traveling to different parts of the country. You also have lull at motor parks, airports, as many remain in North Abuja, Lagos. Economic slowdown worsens apathy. Kinsmen are advising their relatives to stay where they are. What will be your take on this? I mean, given the fact that this is a season that for many people is almost like a tradition. If they don't travel during the Yuletide season, it's almost as if the year has not started. So,
yeah. You see, if I were to be the editor to cast this headline, instead of saying Igbos, I would say Nigerians. Because it's not just Igbo land that is under attack. As we are talking, what happened in Zamfara yesterday and day before yesterday? How many people from Zamfara will wish to go home that period? When you are going holidaying, you're going relaxing. You're going visiting. You're going to see your people. Areas, to even see some of your projects.
But for the Igbos, traveling for Christmas is a tradition that they cannot almost like do without.
Honestly, not just Igbos.
It's a yearly thing.
People from Benue do same. People Plateau do same. People from Southern Kaduna do same. As we are talking, were there no but 30 people or 40 people killed around in Kaura local government in Southern Kaduna just the day before yesterday? And tell me how people would just willingly say, I'm going home to do my usual holiday. And recall that like areas in Southern Kaduna, almost every community, right from now up to Easter period, you find every village doing this ceremony. We have our own peculiar day, that peculiar festival, that fiesta here and there. So when attacks of this nature are all over the place, you find out that people will not travel. And of course, when you go into, I hope their statistics are okay. Going to the motor parks, did you ask, okay, where are the vehicles going to the east? You can't find them. Where are the people going to the east? See vehicles, but you can't see passengers, or both. Then you compare that with also those going to the southwest. Compare that with those going to Chibok areas. Compare that to those going to Daura and all that. You see that it's a thing that is. Do I say omnibus? It's all over the place. Yeah. So I think that it's like profiling.
What exactly is it about this traveling that people have to travel almost every festive period? Every Yuletide, and there are certain things that just don't change, with periods like this, the Yuletide season. The cost of things will, most probably go high during the same period. The cost of transportation will definitely go high, and then you see this mass exodus of people, almost as if they cannot do without it. What is it, that you think draw people?
Yes, you see, what draws people? When the white man or the Europeans feel that they've worked so much, let me go holidaying, let me go vacation. They go Gambia, they go to Thailand, they go to some other areas, Bali. In our own case, many people wait till end of year. They make the money, let me now go home and stay with my people. Let me now go home and complete my house. Let me now go home and relax. And so, if all the while you've been, I'm sorry to use the word, sufferhead, struggling here and there, let me just go home. Some will now say,
is there no any other time of the year that you could travel that it has to be end of the year?
yeah, you see, if it is the wet season, you are busy farming. If it is, I mean, Easter period, you realize that many people are also not too much going through for Easter break. Is it the Salah? I mean, there are times, yes, people will need to go home. But you realize that this end of year thing is really not about the Christians. End of year, some people feel, I have not gone home this year. Let me go December. And that's why you see mass exodus and the villages become so filled up. And you realize, yes, handshakes here and there, weddings here and there. I think it should be encouraged. The rural dwellers also witnessed what they call their own economic boom. Gifts here and there. It should be encouraged. Rather than that same situation will come, it is then some communities are selected for attacks so that this harmonious relationship is destroyed. It shouldn't just be.
So you just brought up a very good point. You brought up a very good point there. Now, you're talking about the economy of these places. Less visitors mean less transactions are going to happen, less influx of cash coming in from other places. How deeply affected will these people be? I mean, like, apart from having the insecurity challenges.
Yeah, you see, if you don't positive if the people are there, because this thing, I tell you, Ibrahim, if for a whole year you've not been home and you are now going home to spend 2 weeks, chances are that you go there with some rappers. You go there, okay, Maggie is short. Okay, we've not taken meat for a long time in this place. Oh, Uncle Ibrahim is around. Things will change a bit for that momentarily. I mean, someone will come whisper, well, we've not been able to settle into. And at that point, your integrity is at stake. Yeah, you need to. This is Africa, extended family. Those you don't know. And because you are in daily trust, you say, oh, we see him on TV. He's a star. He interviews ministers. He does this, he does that. So at the point, you feel, let me help. So it is that, that connection. But again, when you look at it, why is it that we are so religious and we begin to kill on behalf of God Almighty? But when it comes to humanity during festivals, religious festivals, Easter, Christmas, Salah, just name it, prices of goods will just go up there. You want to maximize profit because it is religious affair. We ought to see that prices will nosedive because there is love for neighbor. And when they say, in the Islamic way, they say, who is your neighbor? You count how many left. You count how many right. If you can count those numbers to the left and to your right, and another person is counting that way, then everyone is your neighbor. In the Christendom, when they say who is your neighbor, see, everyone around you. So if everyone around me, like you are all my people around here, all the people around me are in Abuja here are my neighbors, and they are also counting me as their own neighbors. You realize that there is humanity in us. But when there is religious festival and you now want to cash in, it's like what the idiomatic of the white man will say. Fishing in troubled waters. It's when some people have misfortunes that you now cash into it and make money.
But is it not the natural market forces that is leading to these hikes? I mean, when you have more, demand, then you are likely going to have shortfall in supply.
I've witnessed Christmas period in some European countries. In Germany, in Cologne, before that period comes, see, it's almost like hawking. Prices of goods will just crash, just like that, because it's Christmas. You see them in streets.
So this is peculiar to Nigeria? Is that what
the Hausa man will say, Gonjo.
So this is peculiar to Nigeria?
It's peculiar to Nigeria, peculiar to Africa. We are overdoing things in a very negative way. Once it is a religious thing, I mean, are we saying that in Saudi, no matter the massive influx of people there to do their religious obligation, the prices of things would now skyrocket I mean, Ibrahim, I don't know whether you've gone there. Do they change? So it's a peculiar thing to Nigeria. We should seek for forgiveness from God Almighty.
All right, that's arguable anyways. But let's leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak and sharing with us your perspectives. Perhaps this is the last day we'll see you before the Christmas season. So let's just say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance.
Thank you very much. We also hope that we smile on the tables. We also hope that religious leaders, Christians, Muslims, please invite imams. Let them see them with turbans in your house, pastor's house. Christians, when it is Salah, move on to imams' houses. Let followers follow this kind of a thing. That is what religion is all about.
All right. Thank you so much. Our guest reviewer, Ben Shema, the director of news, Voice of Nigeria, with us here in the studio talking about some of the stories on the front pages of our newspapers. We look forward to having you again.
My pleasure.
We'll take a short break now, and then when we return, the Daybreak show continues. Join us again.
But in a situation where you find that a person look at the